Hello, I'm Kristen and this is Kristen Craze Books. So I am here with my second book haul on this channel, and I've acquired more books over the last few weeks than I thought I had, and I'm going to try and slow that down because I really want to read what I own. That is really my goal for this year. There's so many great releases coming out this year in my used bookstore. I don't think they're open now because we're back in lockdown, but they were open a couple weeks ago. And I went in there to support them, and I found a few books in there. And then the women's prize long list came out, so I got a couple of those. And a couple of these were gifted, I think one from Publisher. So I'll just get right into them. And I think I'm going to start with just a couple of romances that I had. So first up is I've actually read both of these already. Prior to purchasing them, I listened to them on audiobook, but I don't know, let's see if I can see it. You can't. But on my shelves, I'm slowly trying to collect my favorite romances. I normally listen to them on audiobook or read the ebooks, but I would like to have just a few of my absolute favorites on there. So the ones I'm still tracking down are the Brown Sister ones. But at my bookstore, they actually had The Bride Test by Helen Huang, and this is in perfect condition. I'm not even sure that this was ever read. And if you asked me my favorite romance of all time, I would probably tell you it is this one. I adore Helen Huang. I love this series so much. And there's some great autism representation in here. I love the slow burn romance that happens. And it's just really, really sweet. The relationship in here is so respectful. So I'm so thrilled to have a copy of this for my shelves. And I did love the first one, The Kiss Quotient, but I don't own it. So if I can track that one down, that'd be great too. And then one of my favorite romances that I read last year was You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. And Alexis Daria actually announced their next novel on Twitter, and I'm going to put the cover here because it's so stunning and they're going to look great together. And I just really love this. I guess you could say it's lightly hate to love. This couple starts off on the wrong foot, and I have discovered that I do like romances where one or more of the characters is a celebrity, and in this they star in a telenovela together, and you get chapters of the telenovela and then their real life romance. Just so beautiful. Loved everything about this, thought it was really sweet. So those are the two romances that I got over the last few weeks. And then I also got a few graphic novels, so I'll show you those. I have discovered my sweet spot with graphic novels. I have realized that I like graphic novels that are adapted from classic novels, and I like sci-fi graphic novels. So I've tried contemporary, I've tried some other things, but really they don't work for me as well as these do. So that's what I have here. The first one I have is Descender, and this is by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen, and I've already read this, already fell in love with it. I want to collect all the volumes, but they're not cheap for something so small, but the experience is so beautiful. The artwork in here is stunning. I actually have another graphic novel by Jeff Lemire, I think it's called Frogcatchers, that I really enjoyed, and the publisher actually sent to me. And he's a Canadian comic book writer and artist, which I always love to find. So I do want to slowly collect these, though they're expensive, but I love stories following AIs or robots, and this follows Tim 21, who wakes up 10 years after he fell asleep and realizes that his world has fallen apart, nobody is around, and that robots are outlawed and he's on the run. So it's just really, really great, and I can see why everybody's starting to talk about that series. And then I already have a graphic novel adaptation of The Great Gatsby, but this one just came out, and I might like this one more. How stunning is that? And the artwork, actually the palette in this one is very similar to the one I already have. But this one actually seems a bit longer, and the reviews I've read, people have actually liked this one better. And this is by K. Woodman Maynard. So I am looking forward to that. I'm sure I'll dive into all these graphic novels this month, because whenever I get a graphic novel, I always want to read it right away. But really, really looking forward to that one. And then over the last couple of years, I've really fallen in love with Greek mythology, and especially like the Iliad for some reason. And I had no idea that there was an Iliad graphic novel, but then I saw this online, and it's just so beautiful. And I think this author, Gareth Hines, also has a version of the Odyssey, so I'll have to look into that. But how cool is this? It's this is good quality. It's like a heavier graphic novel, but it just looks so beautiful. I haven't really heard much about it, so we'll see what I think, but it is really beautiful, and I do love the Iliad, so excited about that. Then I actually have a couple books from Kazuo Ishiguro. Kazuo Guru wrote my favorite book of all time, Never Let Me Go. And I always thought, I need to read everything he's written. Why haven't I read more from the author of my favorite book? So we're going to change that. And the first one I have is his newest release, and it is Clara and the Sun. This has been getting some great reviews lately, and this also follows AI and artificial intelligence like Descenders. I've realized that is something that I absolutely love. And the robot in this is in a store waiting to be purchased and just making observations about human behavior. So that sounds brilliant, because I know that I like the way Shiguru talks about moral and ethical situations and issues and how he writes about humanity. So looking forward to this. Glad that the early reviews have been excellent. And this one here, The Remains of the Day, does get some mixed reviews, but I have seen some reviewers that I trust love this one. And honestly, I don't know much about it. All I know is that it follows a butler in 1956. His name is Stevens, and he works at a great house of Darlington Hall and goes on holiday. But I don't need to know much about Kazuo Ishiguro's books to want to read them. And does he have The Buried Giant as the other one? I love the spine on this, but I'm really looking forward to getting into more of his work. Next, I have two books that were longlisted for the Women's Prize. And the first one is the one that I'm actually already reading, and that is Lester, and this is by Raven Lalani. And this is very evocative, but it's beautifully written. And it's one of those books that I know is going to get mixed reviews, and I understand where that's coming from. I'm not finished yet, so I can't make any concrete statements on it. But I can see why a book like this would be longlisted. There's some great conversations in here, an interesting main character, and I've realized that I like any book that follows a main character going through their 20s. And this one follows Edie, who is working an admin job that she's not happy at. She's just kind of going through life. And then she meets a man, Eric, who says he's in an open relationship, and the story goes from there. And it's a short book, so I don't want to say too much more than that, but I'm happy to be reading this, and I'm curious to see if this will be shortlisted. And then the next one I have that was longlisted is actually the one that I saw a lot of people on BookTube saying that they hope wins and that they really loved, and that is Detransition Baby by Tori Peters. And this one follows three characters, and I read the first chapter for a try the chapter tag, and I really, really liked it. And we're flashing back. It's following these three characters, and they're having a baby. This baby is changing their lives, and chapters bounce back and forth. So one chapter is a month after conception, one is 8 years before conception. So it's all centered around the conception of this baby. There's some really great conversations already happening in just the first chapter that I read, and I cannot wait to get more into this one. Cover is stunning, and I do have this feeling that there's potential for this one to win the Women's Prize. And then I'll talk about the two other books that I got from my used bookstore. And the first one is Talon by Julie Kagawa. Julie Kagawa wrote my favorite vampire series of all time, The Immortal Rules, The Blood of Eden series, it's actually called. And I always mean to read more from her. And when I saw this there, in a great quality for a great price, I knew I had to get it. I like the idea of books about dragons, but I haven't read very many. And to be honest, I don't know too much about what this is about. All I know is that it's dragons and that it's Julie Kagawa, and I know I like her writing. And look how stunning this book is. So I'm hoping... The problem with used bookstores is I often buy books from there and then don't prioritize them. So I'm hoping to actually get to this one this year at some point. But yes, I know that there's maybe 5 books in this series, so hopefully I love this and can track down the rest of the books. And then the last one I have from the used bookstore, I have heard mixed things about it. And was this one might have been nominated for the Women's Prize the year it came out as well. And that is See What I Have Done by Shara Schmidt. And this is a Lizzie Borden retelling. That's really all I know about it. The tagline says, Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Or did she? So I'm intrigued by that. I'm not going to let the mixed reviews affect me or stop me from reading this, because a lot of the times I see lower reviews on Goodreads and I disagree with those ratings, especially when it comes to literary fiction like this. So I still have high hopes, and I love that I found this for a good price at the used bookstore and in perfect condition. Then we have one that actually came from a publisher, Simon Schuster Canada, so thank you to them. And this is one I hadn't heard about, but I'm so intrigued, and it's called The Cave Dwellers by Christina McDowell. Got to be one of the coolest covers I have seen. So stunning. I bet you the finished copy is going to be even more beautiful. And this is actually being compared to The Nest that came out a few years ago, which I didn't love. So I'm hoping that this one works better for me. All I know about this is that it follows a family with money, and that the Green Book is involved in some way, and I think that they live a world of privilege, obviously, and then a family member is kidnapped and brutally murdered, and their lives are turned upside down, and they're realizing that they don't just live in a perfect world in this little bubble. So excited to see how that storyline is handled. And then I grabbed Deacon King Kong by James McBride, and this is actually an Oprah's Book Club pick from last year, and I remember seeing this on a lot of people's favorites list of 2020, and I've been wanting to grab it, so I'm excited to have found the paperback, which I think it just came out on paperback. This says it's a funny, surprising story of the shooting of a Brooklyn drug dealer and the people who witnessed it. And I've always wanted to read something by James McBride. I know he won the National Book Award at one time, so I usually trust Oprah. She doesn't always get it right, but she often does. So looking forward to that one. And then I know I touched on how much I love Greek mythology, so I had to pick up Heroes by Stephen Fry. I have Mythos, the first in his collection, and these books are so cool. They are Greek myth retellings, but they're presented like nonfiction, and there's artwork throughout. Let me just show you. There's artwork throughout here. It's just a stunning, stunning book. Let me see. And this is what it looks like under the dust jacket. And his third one, Troy, is coming out I think in June, and Libro FM actually sent us the audiobook of that, which is really, really exciting. And I know that Stephen Fry narrates all these books, and he's supposed to be an incredible narrator, so I do want to get through all those before June. So excited to have this, and they just look stunning. Whew. Now we're on the last book, and this is one of my most anticipated reads of the year. I remember when it went to auction, and I had so many people bidding on it. It was so exciting. I remember adding it to my Goodreads at that time before we had a cover. And that is Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley. And as much as I love this cover, this permanent sticker from Reese's Book Club is infuriating to me, but stunning cover. This book has been getting rave reviews, and I'm so excited to dive into it. I think I want to get to it in April. I know that this follows a young girl who's trying to find her place in the world, and somehow she gets involved in a case being investigated by the FBI, and she goes undercover, and I think there's a lot of interesting conversations about race in here. It says Firekeeper's Daughter is an electrifying thriller layered with rich exploration of the modern Native experience, a reckoning of current and historical injustices, and a power celebration of community. So I just have a feeling that this is going to be a 5-star read for me. It's a bit longer, but I'm really, really looking forward to it, and I also have the audiobook, so definitely a high priority for me. So that is it. That is all the books that I've acquired over the last few weeks. Some I have read, some I really want to get to soon. I would love to know if you've read any of these, your thoughts on any of them. If you've posted a book haul recently, please let me know, because I always enjoy watching them. And thank you so much for your time if you sat through this entire video. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.